I became a Failure fan later than I should have, embarrassingly. And 10 years ago, I was driving and another Space song came on, and immediately I felt like I had known this song forever. It felt like a piece of me, and everything from that rolling bass line in the beginning to Ken Andrews' voice, the melody, the lyrics, everything about it felt so deeply personal, even though I was really hearing it for the first time. In doing another Space song, I wanted to take the ambient nature of the original and make it even more vast and, dare I say, intergalactic. And it was actually the first song I finished for Recovery, and it remains one of my favorites to this day. A Perfect Circle has always been a really important band for me. Their second record, 13th Step, that came out when I was in high school, and I used to hear that on the radio on K-Rock in New York basically every day when I was getting ready to go to school. In doing Weak and Powerless, I wanted to keep it relatively true to the original. I wanted to keep that upbeat tempo, that rhythm, but I wanted to reorchestrate it a little bit. And so like replacing the bass guitar lead that's, very motivic of the song, replacing that with a Rhodes piano, little things like that. Of course, add like deep 808s, and it does have more of an electronic production while still feeling very live. Also, one could argue, A Perfect Circle, they did a covers record many years ago called Emotive, and I think the fact that they did that, it really helped me feel like I had permission to do something similar as well. Sleep Token very quickly became my favorite newer band, especially after their second album came out, This Place Will Become Your Tomb, and that's the album from which Alkaline comes from. They are so incredibly talented, just genius level musicians, and frankly, I can't come close to singing almost any of it. Their singer is insane. Fortunately, Alkaline's a bit more straight ahead, and if I pitched it down a little bit, I could get Alkaline into my register. I wanted to completely reimagine Alkaline, and the original, it's relatively straightforward rock. I wanted to, blow it up, turn it on its head. There's crazy glitchy percussion and break beats and all sorts of electronic flourishes. I mean, it's, and also probably the most complex vocal arrangement I've ever done myself, which is credit to Sleep Token for forcing me to do that. That's going to influence me on my later work, which is a great thing. If you're lucky enough to hear this in Dolby Atmos, you're in for a treat. It's without a doubt the most complex Dolby Atmos mix I've ever done. It's insane. I first did a cover of Fade Into You about 10 years ago. It was a pitch for a movie trailer. Didn't go anywhere, but I decided when I was doing Recovery I should, take that and let's update it and make it fit with the rest of the record. My version of Fade Into You is without a doubt the greatest departure of any cover from the original material. While the original is of course a love song, and it's a song about longing too, but it's very much a love song. This version of it, it's definitely darker and significantly more sinister. I was pretty late to get into the National. One day I was skating around my local skate park, and for whatever reason, I arbitrarily decided to put the National on the Bluetooth speaker I had there. And Graceless comes on. And immediately, I just was so hooked by this record. I just had to. So when I was doing covers, I thought, oh man, I gotta do Graceless. And lyrically, it works really well within the context of this record. And on top of it, it's an upbeat, fast song. I had to turn it into a drum and bass record. It was begging me to. So ultimately, that's why Graceless sounds the way it does. There are 3 instrumentals on Recovery, and they essentially serve as interludes or set changes, sometimes actually a transition into basically a different act on the record. The first one, No One Can Hear You Scream, really, it's made entirely actually out of skateboarding sounds. My friend Greg was skating and he allowed me to basically get all of his sweet tricks. Sounds awesome. But they're highly manipulated and they create this, gigantic atmosphere. And it's titled No One Can Hear You Scream because it's ultimately the intro into another Space song. And the marketing tag for the first Alien film was, in space, no one can hear you scream. So I was like, oh, this is such an opportunity. Of course I have to call the intro to another Space song, No One Can Hear You Scream. So that's where that comes from. Then we have a piano-driven interlude called Surrendered. And Surrendered, I just wanted to have a spacious moment, a little bit of a pause, because it comes in between Weak and Powerless and Alkaline. And it's just a moment where, you got some cinematic spacious piano, and then you got these granular flourishes that fly over your head. And it's just a nice little, it's a breather, ultimately. And then Hand Over Hand is a completely ambient guitar piece, and it's called Hand Over Hand because at the very end it's like two-handed tapping fingerstyle stuff. I was really influenced and into Michael Hedges and artists like Kaki King and Preston Reed when I was in high school. And still to this day, I love acoustic fingerstyle, so this was an opportunity to use some of that. And All That Could Have Been has always been one of my favorite Nine Inch Nails songs. Ever since I first heard it, it also goes back to high school for me. But everything from the time changes, a lot of it's in 7/4, which is one of my favorite time signatures. And you got this, beautiful distorted percussion in the verse that opens up into like a more organic chorus. I mean, everything about this song speaks to me innately. Frankly, I just wasn't sure if it would be too on the nose to cover Nine Inch Nails. The Fragile, which I think this actually might be a B-side from originally, it comes on the Still EP, is probably my most influential album ever. If you look at my back catalog, you will hear where I took things from The Fragile. Even the fact that I used the Nord Lead 2 all over this album is directly because of The Fragile. Truthfully, this was probably the hardest cover to finish, if only because of how overtly bleak the lyrics are. I actually found myself in a pretty dark place, while I was getting close to the end of finishing this thing, and it was a huge relief to be done with it. It's a powerful song. I Could, I Should is the first of the original songs to show up on Recovery. I wanted it to be very stripped back, vulnerable, lo-fi. I've never released a song like this before. And while it's common practice in songwriting to write a song from someone else's perspective, I'd actually never done that myself before. So I wrote I Could, I Should like that. And truthfully, after I finished I Could, I Should, I couldn't listen to it for about a year. It's also one of my favorite songs I've ever written. Kate, who sings the lead on Real Big Sky, she and I had been talking about covering this song for about 3 years, and then the environment of Recovery ultimately made it possible. So I wanted to completely turn it upside down on its head too, because in the original, it's literally just Emma and an acoustic guitar, and it's a beautiful, heartbreaking song. And I want to do the opposite. So it still starts, minimalistic with just vocals and piano, and Kate sounds amazing on this song. It very quickly opens up into these gigantic, granular time-stretched drums and, really low-tuned 8-string guitars tuned to double drop A. I mean, by the end of it, Kate is shrieking. I mean, without a doubt, this is the heaviest song I've ever worked on before. Love it. How Much More Will You, which is the second of the original songs, it started by accident, to be honest. I picked up this baritone acoustic guitar I have, and it was in a really open tuning. And I played what I thought was a C major 7, and it was anything but that. And instantly, because I was just so captured by this tuning of this acoustic guitar, I wrote the rest of it really quickly. Lyrically, similar theme to I Could, I Should. This time written from my perspective ultimately though. And it's a song about longing and, questioning how much of yourself you're willing to give. I wanted the end of Recovery to be kinda epic. And It Conspires is ultimately the end result of that. Massive string section, like baritone guitars, 8-string guitars. I mean, it's literally everything but the kitchen sink thrown at it. Lyrically, it's entirely existential. I reread, given this was in that period of, everything had fallen apart, and I reread The Alchemist probably for the 4th time. And, I'm searching for meaning. I was searching for what comes next. And ultimately, It Conspires it's really about picking yourself up after the fall and knowing you can walk again. After the climax of It Conspires, Recovery ends bookended by those same skateboarding sounds that opened up the record on No One Can Hear You Scream. And it felt appropriate, quite literally from, as one thing ends, a new thing begins. And also quite literal because the irony of, me recovering from, a new set of injuries, you could say, again, 2 years later. So ultimately, this is recovery. It's a snapshot of where I was 2 years ago, but also where I am today.